Hey everyone, welcome to the Fallout Show. My name is Eric, and today we will be talking about the third episode of Monday Night Raw on Netflix. I thought all in all this was a pretty good episode. We're going to talk about each match in each segment and what this means for these wrestlers in the future. Especially, we're going to talk about Saturday night's main event, which was set up a lot by this event last night. And we're going to talk about all the ramifications and stuff like that. Before I get going, please remember to hit that subscribe button and hit that like button so you can get these podcasts every week. So the first thing to happen in Monday Night Raw last night was we saw Rhea Ripley get attacked by Nia Jax. They obviously are setting up a rivalry between Nia Jax and Rhea Ripley again. They have wrestled quite a few times before, and we're going to see them on Saturday night's main event. That match, I think, was made tonight. So now they're going to be one of the 3 title matches that we're going to see on Saturday night's main event later this week. I think it's a good matchup between these 2 wrestlers because Rhea Ripley is so physically imposing that, against somebody like Liv Morgan, you don't really see them standing up against each other and seeing Liv Morgan have a chance without doing something, backhanded or something like that. But with Nia Jax, you can see that Nia Jax can, stand up with Rhea Ripley. And they've had a few good matches before. I'm not a big fan of Nia Jax with her in-ring work. I think she has gotten better. But I think that will be a good match on Saturday to see these 2 going at it. And now we know that Nia Jax and Bayley are both moving to Raw from SmackDown. You may wonder why that is, especially since Tiffany Stratton just won the women's title. Like, why is it Nia Jax going after Tiffany Stratton? Well, last week on SmackDown, it was teased that Charlotte Flair is returning, and she will be returning to SmackDown. And I believe that Jade Cargill is also set to return from her injury back to SmackDown. And I don't think that when Jade Cargill comes back, she will be once again part of a tag team. I think she's immediately going to go into a program with Bianca Belair and maybe Naomi as well, and they're going to go at it. So having Charlotte Flair and Jade Cargill come back, they had to move something around, and so they moved Nia Jax and Bayley to Monday Night Raw. And it makes a lot of sense because Rhea Ripley doesn't have a lot of good opponents on Monday Night Raw right now. And Nia Jax is definitely one, and Bayley could be one down the road. Although I think Bayley right now in this stage of her career is really just there to set up younger wrestlers like Roxanne Perez, who was at their match, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I think that that's really Bayley's spot right now, and Nia Jax can be a formidable foe for Rhea Ripley. So I thought that was a good way to start off the show, and obviously it sets up a match later on. Then we had the actual kickoff of the show with Jey Uso, who continues to be, if not the one of the most over wrestlers in wrestling altogether right now. It's pretty crazy for someone who really has never won any singles titles. I mean, of course, he's been a tag team guy forever, but he's really turning almost into like a good version of Shawn Michaels. When Shawn Michaels left the Rockers, people are wondering, is he going to get lost in the shuffle? And he was just almost immediately over. And Jey Uso seems to be like that too, just in a opposite way. But Jey Uso got to come through the crowd to the ring, and I think that's really smart. And he started his promo, and then Gunther came out, and Gunther did Gunther things, and I still think that Gunther is one of the best wrestlers as well in wrestling today. And this is a great matchup between them 2. They will be facing off at Saturday night's main event. And I think it's a great matchup. I think that having your most over face versus your most over heel, I mean, if you can make that work, that's, really easy to see how that's going to be a great match. So I'm looking forward to that match. I thought that, they had some good quips on each other. I thought that Gunther calling Jey Uso a dork, that just kind of shows that Gunther's kind of a dork, because just the way he said it, it was just really funny to me. And Jey Uso, accepting that he's a mascot and that, that's a good thing and that he's, just like one of the fans. I thought that was really cool. So I really look forward to this match. I kind of thought that they would have a little run-in, to kind of build up the match. I don't know if it's the main event. I think it is on Saturday. And it should be a good match. I mean, they're both really good in-ring workers, and they built up a good little rivalry in a short amount of time. So I look forward to the match. I think it's going to be pretty good. Then we had the New Day come out again, and to a lot of boos. And I think they're really doing this heel angle really well. I was really skeptical when it started because the New Day has always been, such a babyface tag team. And I think they're really doing a good job. And but my favorite part of this Kofi Kingston Rey Mysterio match was that they had JBL, John Bradshaw Layfield, on commentary. And he just, I forgot how much I liked him on commentary. He's such a good heel commentator, calling Rey Mysterio a deadbeat dad and, bringing up that Rey Mysterio actually retired him. He's just great. I love it when the WWE does this. They did it with Jesse Ventura a few weeks ago during the first Saturday Night's Main Event. And I think JBL was the highlight of this match. But besides JBL, it was a good in-ring match. The New Day continues to really build on their heel status, and it's made them kind of relevant again. I mean, they were kind of lost to being just, a gig act as being a face and not really getting any good matches. And now it seems like they've really upped their status a little bit, and they're getting some decent matches and, showing up on Raw. That's no easy task with, all the talent out there now. So I thought it was a pretty good match. Rey Mysterio continues to just be an awesome wrestler, no matter how old he is. He's still in great shape. I loved the moment when JBL was trying to say that that's not the same Rey Mysterio anymore. That we don't even know that that's the same Rey Mysterio. That's a different guy. I love JBL on commentating, and I hope they get him back more. I know he's been doing some stuff in NWA, showing up and just like clotheslining people, random people from time to time. So I hope that they have him back in WWE soon. And yeah, like for me, he was the star of this match. He was the best part of it. We had the run-in from Xavier Woods, and then the LWO came out and tried to help Rey Mysterio. So maybe this is setting up a six-man tag team. Or they might have acted like one of the LWO got hurt during the melee. So maybe this will allow one of the LWO plus Rey Mysterio to take on New Day. But, I thought it was pretty good, and I like that the New Day as heels has kind of brought themselves back into relevance. So after Rey Mysterio was able to get the win over Kofi Kingston, we had a backstage segment where we saw Chad Gable and American Alpha talking, and Chad Gable obviously not happy that he lost to Penta in just a great match. I mean, so far, I know we're early in 2025, but that's I think a good match of the year candidate because that was a great match by both competitors. And Chad Gable kind of sets up that he's now going to talk to Dominic Mysterio, and a little bit later, I'll jump ahead here just to continue the storyline. They talk to Dominic as part of Judgment Day, and of course, Judgment Day is hanging out in the back. And Dominic gives Chad Gable the name of somebody that the audience doesn't see, and Chad Gable then says that he's going to learn from the dark arts or something like that. I think that right there is a sign that Malachi Black, or Aleister Black, as he was known in NXT, is coming back to the WWE from AEW. I read a report a couple days ago that they confirmed that his contract is up with AEW. Some wrestlers have like a no-compete clause after their contract is done, so like 90 days they can't show up on another promotion. That's, you can thank the WCW for that back in the NWO days. But so I don't know if that's going on with Malachi Black, and that's why they're going to do the slow burn until we see him. But the reason that I think that is because Malachi Black is in a relationship with Zelina Vega, and together they own a wrestling studio named the Dark Arts Wrestling Club or something like that, something with dark arts. So the fact that Chad Gable said, I'm going to learn from the dark arts, that obviously has some connection. And I don't think that he's going to learn from Zelina Vega how to defeat luchadors. He's probably going to go to Malachi Black, or maybe they're going to go back to Aleister Black. He's a really good wrestler. I'm a big fan of his. I could see him stepping into a program with Penta. I think those two, I know they both came from AEW, but I think those two going at it would be pretty good. I could also see him teaming with Karrion Kross. I think that they have like a similar vibe together, and maybe if Karrion Kross wants to like restructure the Final Testament, I think bringing in Malachi Black makes a lot of sense. So that's kind of the Easter egg there, is that they're teasing another new wrestler. They just introduced Penta, and we're going to talk about him in a second. But I think that now we're going to see Malachi Black within the next 3 months in the WWE. So that could be very interesting. I don't think that he's going to be a new member of American Alpha, though, because if I remember correctly, he's from the Netherlands or something like that. So I don't know if he fits in American Alpha. But I did like, going back to American Alpha, I did like how Ivy Nile said she was going for the IC title, and the Creed brothers said they were going for the tag titles. I want to see them back in the ring. I think that all 4 of those wrestlers in that faction are good. So I'd like to see both. I'd like to see that tag team and Ivy Nile go after those titles. So hopefully we'll see all that in the near future. Then we got a really interesting promo cut by Sami Zayn. I think that they may be teasing a heel turn for Sami Zayn, just by, not just the events of his promo, but also the events later on, and I'll talk about those too. But I thought that this was really interesting to have him kind of cut a promo where he says, I don't need the belt, but I want the belt. There's kind of some, like evil undertones with, that kind of thinking. And Sami Zayn has been a really good heel. He was a heel just a few years ago. So it wouldn't be, crazy for him to turn heel again. And his best friend, Kevin Owens, has obviously turned, mega heel to the point of where he's almost like the new Roman Reigns, if you think about it, the way he manipulates people and gets them to do what he wants them to do. I think they kind of teased that with Karrion Kross for a little bit, but now I think that, they're kind of putting it on Kevin Owens. But that's what I got from Sami Zayn's promo, and what happens later in the card tonight is that he may be teasing a heel thing. They may be kind of like testing the waters with the fans to see if they want Sami Zayn to go heel. But that's kind of what I got from his promo and kind of the events of what happened tonight. Him talking to Kevin Owens and Kevin going like, okay, how's this going to go and stuff like that. I don't know. It just, to me, it seems like there's some undertones there that have Sami Zayn turning on the Usos, which is crazy because he just got back in as Sammy Uso, and now he's gonna turn on him. That would be interesting, but that's kind of what I got from that. Let me know in the comments. Do you think that we could see a evil Sami Zayn, or do you think that we're gonna see Sammy Uso for a while? I could see it going either way. But just, from before tonight, I would have said no way. Sami Zayn is going to stay, over as a face. But after tonight, I think that they are going to be thinking about turning him heel. So let me know what you think in the comments. Then we had the matchup between Nia Jax and Bayley. These two have faced each other multiple times before. It's interesting to have 2 wrestlers coming from another show and facing each other because one's going to lose. Usually you don't want to lose your first match, coming to another show. But I guess if, you're going to have to lose, it's in a match like this where somebody's got to lose, right? So I thought it was a decent match. Nia Jax, not my favorite in-ring performer, especially when you're on the same card as Io Sky, and we're going to talk about that match a little bit later. But even Bayley, Bayley is still really good at being an in-ring performer. She's great on the mic. But like I said, I think she's really just there to put over younger talent. I don't think she has any chance in the Royal Rumble or anything like that. But this was a good match. Nia Jax pulling off the win. I thought it was interesting, Bayley hitting the Annihilator and kind of making like the pouting baby face on top of Nia Jax. That was probably my favorite part of the whole thing. I thought that was interesting. I also liked the little thing that Bayley had with Roxanne Perez, who, like I said, if Bayley's going to put over younger talent, put over the rookie, right? Because it looks like Roxanne Perez is going to be changing from NXT to the WWE sooner rather than later. I don't know if you guys noticed it, but when they were pulling Roxanne Perez off Bayley, she kicked a fan behind her and kicked her square, like in the mouth off her chair. And you could tell it was messed up because all the fans, they immediately switched the camera angle to Bayley. And all the fans behind her you could tell were looking at the floor, like looking at that lady. So I don't know what happened to her. She'll probably get some money from the WWE if anything bad happened. But I thought that was pretty interesting. Like, be careful when you're on the front row in the WWE. You might get hit by one of the wrestlers. But, I thought it was an interesting match. No big surprises. And then Rhea Ripley came out again and, challenged Nia Jax and did their thing. Rhea Ripley's just awesome. Big fan of hers. I think she's probably the number one female wrestler in the world right now, and it's probably not even really close. I don't think that Nia Jax is going to win against her in Saturday night's main event, but it'll be a decent match because Rhea Ripley will make it a decent match. She's so intense. She, she's got a lot of different flavors to her, and I think she's great. So I did like this match. I thought it was pretty cool. These are the best female wrestlers probably. In this card, they had the best WWE Raw female talent on the roster. These wrestlers plus Io Sky, in my opinion. And actually, we're going to talk about Io Sky in that match in a minute. But I thought that Zoe Stark did a really good job in that match too. So I think she moved up a couple notches in my book. But I think that WWE did a good job of showcasing their female talent on Raw in the show tonight. Then we had the guy that most people in the wrestling world are talking about, and that is Penta. He had his second match on Raw against Pete Dunne. Don't call him Butch. I thought this was a great match. When it was announced, I thought that, this was a good matchup. Pete Dunne, I just did it to myself, is a really good in-ring performer. I really like his style. He's kind of old school and kind of innovative at the same time. It's really interesting. Maybe that's just because of, him starting his wrestling on the other side of the pond, so to speak. But I thought this was a good match. Penta pretty much did what he did in the first match. So no big surprises there, I guess, from him. He nailed the Mexican Destroyer again. That was awesome. The Penta Driver was awesome. He wasn't really ever in any danger. He did some, cool jumps out of the ring. He's quickly becoming, Penta is one of my favorite wrestlers on the roster. I hope they keep feeding him some squash matches until they find somebody that he can really, latch onto. I wouldn't mind him having a rematch with Chad Gable later on, because I think that, Chad Gable is awesome in the ring too. But again, I think that Raw really has something with Penta. I think that the fans love him, and I think that, he's got this interesting look. His intro was awesome. They had a behind-the-scenes video online where it showed that Triple H was personally involved in setting up the entrance for Penta. That's how important that this wrestler is to the brand. And I really liked it. I liked the spinning, thing behind him and stuff. I thought it was really cool. It reminds me of the old days of the WCW, Psychosis and stuff like that. I love that stuff. So I wouldn't even mind it if they brought back the Cruiserweight title. Just don't bring back the 24/7 title. I hated that belt, but I love the Cruiserweight belt because, man, some of those matches, Billy Kidman, Rey Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero, those are some of the best matches in WCW history. So I would love to see that again, and I think that Penta is bringing them back. It seemed like the announcers were starting to start something with Rey Mysterio and him, that, Rey Mysterio is the number one luchador and Penta's the number two. How long is it going to be until Penta wants to be number one? I could see that, but of all the matchups that Penta could fall into, I think Rey Mysterio is one of my the one I'm least looking forward to. For one, they fought each other before, and, just putting the luchador versus the luchador, it just seems so obvious. I like him going against Chad Gable and Pete Dunne, wrestlers that have different styles. So I hope they keep that up with Penta, and he'll just continue to be over. And again, another thing I like about Penta that I don't think gets talked about as much as it should is he sells really well. And for somebody that's wearing a mask, that's more difficult than you think. You convey a lot of emotion with your eyes, with your face, and he's really got to, play to the last row to get that out there. And I love it because that's old school wrestling, right? Dusty Rhodes landing an elbow on somebody and knocking them out, and then kind of wobbling to the ground. That's the kind of wrestling I want to see. It doesn't have to be all the time. It doesn't have to be every match, but I do like to see that stuff. I like when they lean into that. So again, Penta continues to be one of my faves. And I think if he keeps going like this, he'll continue to be everybody else's fave too. Then we had Logan Paul come in with a pre-recorded video. Some people online were saying that this was a bait and switch by the WWE because they said that Logan Paul was going to quote unquote appear on Raw, and this wasn't really him appearing. This was him just cutting a video. I don't really care about either one, but again, Logan Paul reiterated that now he's taking the WWE seriously, that he's going to do this full time, and that we should be prepared for that. I don't mind Logan Paul as a wrestler. I think that he's a great heel. I can separate the person from the character, so to speak. And in this case, it's a situation where I like the character more than the person. But as a WWE wrestler, I think that works into his angle and that he can be a great heel. And he's done some good things in the ring. I think that, his matches with Ricochet were pretty good. And, I think that, again, he is a really good heel. I don't know who they're going to set him up with. They might make him have some squash matches at first to get him back in the run of things. And if he's going to be full time, I hope that we see him more than once every 3 months. I hope that if Penta's wrestling every week, I hope that we see him at least every other week or every 3 weeks or something like that, because he could be in the United States title hunt. And we could see him, going against LA Knight and Shinsuke Nakamura. But especially against somebody like Shinsuke Nakamura, I worry that Logan Paul is going to be exposed because Shinsuke Nakamura is such a veteran. Not that LA Knight isn't, but when you have somebody that's so good against somebody that's kind of green, sometimes it accentuates that. So we'll see who Logan Paul gets to go against. I think that there's a lot of good people at Raw that he could fight. So again, like I said, LA Knight I think would be a good first kind of rivalry for him coming back. Because, again, you have a heel like Logan Paul, who everybody hates, and then you have LA Knight, who's a face that everybody loves. So that kind of writes itself. So we'll see who Logan Paul gets. But, again, I think he could be a great heel. And then we get a promo from CM Punk, who is very much in the arena. And another great promo. CM Punk continues to show that he cuts better promos than anybody else, and it really seems to be just like off the cuff with him. Like he seems very comfortable in that world. Just like everybody else, I loved his line about Hulk Hogan, and that, not only is he CM Punk, going to be in the Rumble, but he said that even if they put Hulk Hogan in there, he'll toss him out and Hulkamania for good. I thought that was pretty funny. But, what can you say about CM Punk? He's one of the most over wrestlers right now. I don't know that he's a great match for Gunther. So I'm kind of interested to see where they're going to put Punk next. I kind of threw out some ideas in my podcast last week after his match with Seth Rollins. But, I really don't know. I don't know where Punk now goes because I don't think that him and Gunther really makes sense. I think that him and Drew McIntyre kind of don't make sense either because they've already had their war, and maybe he goes back to fighting Rollins, especially after the events of tonight. So maybe he's just gonna have another match against Seth Rollins in the near future. But I don't mind that. I think that they're great in the ring together, and CM Punk. Just, another great promo. He also reminded everybody that Roman Reigns owes him a favor. I talked about that last week as well. And it could pose an interesting scenario, in the future. I think that what this will mean will be that Roman Reigns and CM Punk will be a tag team together against somebody. I hypothesize that it might be Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins, even though they went against each other today. Another possibility opened up. Maybe Sami Zayn might be involved in that, and I'll talk about that when we talk about the match. But I did think that was definitely on purpose, that CM Punk reminded everybody that, Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman owe him a favor, and that's going to be like a Money in the Bank that he's going to cash in at some point. So we'll see what happens there. But again, CM Punk just awesome and continues to be awesome, and I'm glad the WWE was able to get him back. Then we got a match that I think was a lot better than people thought it was going to be, with Damage Control taking on Pure Fusion Collective, who I think is the worst name of a faction right now in wrestling. I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but I don't like it. But I did like this match. I thought it was really good. I think that Shayna Baszler is kind of just who she is. I like how she works in the MMA stuff with her stuff, like how she was kicking Dakota Kai's knee. And then, she got on the, what's it called, the Karafuda clutch. I think I pronounced that wrong, but she did that a little bit later. I thought Zoe Stark kind of was I don't know if the star, but the surprise star of this match. She hit a couple of really great moves. I know that it seemed like they were going to push her maybe about a year ago. She was getting some big name matches, and then she kind of just fell to the wayside. But I think she has a lot of talent. She did a lot of good in NXT as well. Dakota Kai had another good match. I kind of talked about after her match last week that she probably is better off in a tag team than as a single star, especially as part of Damage Control, because the other women in Damage Control are, such strong wrestlers. Kairi Sane is hurt or something, so she can't be in Damage Control right now, but I think her and Dakota Kai as Damage Control probably make the most sense, because Io Sky is amazing. I mean, what can you say or not say about Io Sky? She continues to show that she's probably pound for pound the best in-ring performer in the WWE. I don't think that, because of the language barrier, she's ever going to be the best, the most popular WWE star, because she can't cut promos like Rhea Ripley or Nia Jax. But in ring, I think that she has really very few equals. And she showed it again. I mean, she was just all over the ring. She hit her moonsault, and, she won the match. And I think she's awesome. I like that she's so over now. I feel like it took a little while for her to get as over as she is now. Maybe people didn't like her as a heel as much, but I think she's amazing. And like I said, this was a surprisingly good match. I don't, I know what I'm going to get from Shayna Baszler, and that's fine. I think that she's fine in small doses. But with Zoe Stark, I kind of forgot how good she is because they don't use her as much. And I think she, like I said, she was kind of the surprise star of the match. And, maybe because of her, this Pure Fusion Collective will do something and, be relevant in some way. But maybe they'll change their name too, because I don't know who thought of that. I can't imagine Triple H coming up with that. But yeah, all in all, I thought it was a good match. Io Sky still amazing, and Zoe Stark pretty surprising. And now let's talk about the main event. That was Seth freaking Rollins versus Drew McIntyre. I loved the intros to this match. I don't know why, but the way that Drew McIntyre came out, he looked way more menacing. Like they had these like gauntlets on his arms, and like he almost looked like a kaiju coming out of there. I mean, he looked amazing. This was obviously a rematch of their WrestleMania match that Drew McIntyre was able to win, even though he lost the title moments later. And I thought maybe this was actually a little better than that match. These wrestlers really obviously understand each other, and they've been fighting for a while now. And I liked some of the moves that were brought out. Seth Rollins used a crossface on McIntyre that it looked like he was going to beat him there. We got another Future Shock DDT, but Seth Rollins was able to kick out. Seth Rollins, I think, also took a Claymore, although it wasn't like a full Claymore, and he was able to kick out of that. And then, Rollins was able to kind of sneak out a win at the end, maybe sort of avenging his loss from WrestleMania. But the real interesting thing happened when Sami Zayn came to the ring and he, quote unquote, accidentally haluva kicked Seth Rollins. Now, the reason I think that this was kind of weird is that if you've ever seen Sami Zayn hit a haluva kick, he doesn't kick people in the back of the head. He kicks them in the face, And if you see the way that Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre are positioned before the kick happens, Drew McIntyre is holding Seth Rollins there. It's obvious. Now, I know this is a work. I know this isn't real life, but it didn't seem at any point that Sami Zayn was aiming for Drew McIntyre. And even the way they're positioned, it wouldn't make sense because, so what, Sami Zayn going to kick Drew McIntyre in the back of the head, then he's going to go head-to-head with Seth Rollins and still take him out. So either way, that move takes out Seth Rollins. So this is why I think that Sami Zayn may turn heel, because he literally used his heel to kick, Seth Rollins in the face and allow Drew McIntyre to get out of Dodge. So I don't know if this is exactly what's going to happen, but to me, this was a big sign that Sami Zayn is turning heel and maybe aligning himself somehow with Drew McIntyre. I don't know if that's what's going to happen, but I do think that was kind of teased here. It doesn't make any sense for Sami Zayn to kick Drew McIntyre in the back of the head the way they were positioned. So, who knows? It may be conspiracy theory, but to me, that's what it said to me, is that that's what's going to happen, is that Sami Zayn is also going to turn heel, and he's going to turn on Seth Rollins, and he's going to turn on CM Punk. And maybe we'll see CM Punk versus Sami Zayn. I just said that, CM Punk didn't really have another guy to go after. He hasn't fought Sami Zayn yet, so maybe we'll see something like that. But, that's kind of my feelings on the main event. I think it was really good. I think that Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins are a good matchup for each other. Now that they fought a couple of times in a year, we probably won't see it again for a while unless it's a tag team situation. But I thought it was a good main event, and all in all capped off a pretty good Raw. I think that like I kind of mentioned last week, the first Raw on Netflix was really them starting with the Super Bowl, and now we're at the regular season. Now every week to week is kind of showing what a normal Raw program will be, and they've been great. I think that the wrestling's been great. I think that the way they've set up Saturday night's main event is great, and after this week is over, we're gonna be setting up the Royal Rumble, and Raw will be used to do that. So I look forward to it. I think it's a great way to do it, and I'm really interested to see if this increases the viewership on Saturday night's main event and the Royal Rumble, because now Raw has this bigger audience. Will it bring this audience now to their other programming? I haven't seen if SmackDown's ratings have gone up at all. But I am interested about Saturday night's main event because they've done so much setup on Raw. It really seems like they're trying to get people to watch it. So we'll see, because already the first one, I shouldn't say the first one, the last one they had a few months ago, whenever it was, maybe not even a few months ago, maybe a month ago, was a big hit. So hopefully this will be an even bigger hit, and we'll get more Saturday night main events down the road. But again, I thought this was a pretty good one. I thought this was a good Raw. Probably give it about an 8 out of 10. And there were no real stop points. I thought there were a couple of times in the second week where things were kind of stopped dead, and I didn't really feel that this time. I thought even the matches that people weren't really excited about did a pretty good job. So all in all, a pretty good episode of Raw. But let me know in the comments what you think. Also, let me know if you have any predictions for Saturday night's main event. I would love to hear them. But once again, thank you very much for joining me. Please hit that subscribe button and that like button. It really helps me out a lot and doesn't cost you anything. And I will see you next week on The Fallout Show. Take care, guys.